The Wealth You Missed, What Schools Never Taught You About Money, written by Ronnie Rowland, published by Growth Literacy Lounge. They taught you to diagram sentences, but not balance a checkbook. They drilled you on the Pythagorean theorem, but never explained a credit score. You graduated knowing how to write a persuasive essay, but not how to write a budget. That wasn't an oversight. It was the system working exactly as designed. The traditional education model prepares you for standardized tests, structured environments, and subordination to authority. It rewards compliance, not curiosity, initiative, not independence. It's no accident that financial literacy was left out. Because understanding money, how it's made, managed, and multiplied, creates freedom, and freedom doesn't serve the machine. So here you are. Maybe you've done everything right, got the degree, landed the job, paid your dues, but deep down you know something is missing. You earn, but never feel ahead. You hustle, but never build. You work hard, but the money never seems to work for you. That's not failure. That's a formula, one you were never meant to question. Until now. This book is not about budgeting tips or clever hacks. It's about unlearning. It's about seeing the invisible script you've been handed since childhood and choosing to write your own. It's about reclaiming the education that was withheld, not because you weren't smart enough to learn it, but because someone decided it was safer if you didn't. Zig Ziglar once said, "Money isn't the most important thing in life, but it's reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it scale." The truth of that hits hard when you're gasping for financial air, working long hours, managing debt, and quietly wondering when things will finally feel secure. But here's the shift: you don't need permission to get financially literate. You don't need to be wealthy to begin building wealth. You just need the right framework, and the courage to think differently. This isn't a textbook. It's a toolkit, a wake-up call wrapped in clarity, a permission slip to stop surviving and start strategizing. You won't be lectured, you'll be equipped. And by the final page, you'll know what should have been taught all along. Because the wealth you missed isn't lost, it's waiting. Let's go find it. Chapter 1: The Curriculum That Failed You. Marcus graduated valedictorian, landed a well-paying job in tech, and bought a new car within 6 months. By all appearances, he was the definition of success. But behind his sharp suit and confident smile was a growing credit card balance, student loan stress, and no idea how to manage his money. His education had taught him how to code, give presentations, and meet deadlines. But it never taught him how to live financially free. If you've ever felt behind in money matters, you're not alone, and you're not to blame. The truth is, school didn't fail to teach you about money by accident. It was never designed to. The traditional education system was built in the industrial age to produce dependable workers, not independent thinkers. It was engineered to train people to follow instructions, meet quotas, and rely on predictable income. The goal wasn't financial literacy, it was economic obedience. Consider this: you likely learned how to calculate angles in geometry, memorize the mitochondria's function, and write an essay on Hamlet's indecision. Useful in their context, perhaps, but irrelevant to managing a paycheck, avoiding bad debt, or understanding compound interest. That omission wasn't just a gap. It was a design flaw, or maybe more truthfully, it was by design. A financially literate population asks harder questions. It understands how money works, how wealth grows, and how the game is played. That kind of knowledge creates freedom, and freedom, in a system that thrives on compliance, is dangerous. So instead of empowering you, the system left you underprepared and overwhelmed. You weren't taught how to build a budget. You were taught how to obey a bell schedule. You weren't shown how to invest. You were shown how to apply for a job. This miseducation leads to a tragic irony. People blame themselves for not knowing what they were never taught. They internalize shame about debt, guilt over financial mistakes, and fear about the future. But let's make one thing clear: being broke isn't a character flaw. It's a consequence of a broken system. Now that you see the flaw, you can begin to unlearn what's been holding you back. Because the greatest lie you were told is that you're behind. You're not behind. You've simply never been shown the map. This book is your map. And you're exactly where you need to be to start. Understanding this gives you power. It means you can forgive yourself for not knowing. You can stop looking backward in regret and start looking forward with strategy. You can stop waiting for permission to get financially educated and give yourself full authority to do it now. School didn't teach you how to build wealth, but life can. Because life has no curriculum, no standardized tests, and no grades. It only has results. The good news is, the real classroom is open 24/7. And it pays dividends to those willing to learn. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be aware. What you do next matters more than what you missed. And what you missed isn't gone. It's delayed. It's recoverable. You can build wealth, shift your habits, and pass on what you learned to those around you. That starts by admitting what school never did. Money isn't just math, it's mindset, behavior, and strategy. In the chapters ahead, you'll learn what should have been taught long ago, not from a place of theory, but of truth. You'll learn how to think differently, act intentionally, and finally understand how to make money serve you, not the other way around. Next, we'll expose the first financial lie that school whispered so convincingly, that money is the goal. It's not. It's just a tool. And if you don't know how to use it, even success can bankrupt you. Let's change that. Chapter 2. Money is a tool, not the goal. When Rachel won $500,000 from a scratch-off ticket, she thought her financial problems were over. Within 2 years, the money was gone. She had no assets, no savings, and no backup plan. What she did have was a closet full of designer clothes, a new SUV with a steep loan, and a mountain of regret. Rachel didn't lose because she was foolish. She lost because she never understood the function of money. She thought money itself was the reward. It wasn't. Money, in its rawest form, is a utility, like a hammer. It can build or destroy depending on how it's used. But if all you've ever been told is to chase money, not to understand it, you'll swing wildly, thinking each dollar is an achievement rather than a means. This is the root of financial misdirection, the belief that money is the destination when it's really just the vehicle. Consider this: a scalpel in a surgeon's hands can save a life. In someone else's, it can cause chaos. Money works the same way. Informed hands use it to generate wealth, create freedom, and expand opportunity. Uninformed hands use it to soothe insecurity, show status, or simply disappear it. The amount doesn't matter as much as the understanding behind it. If money were inherently transformational, every high-income earner would be wealthy. But the world is full of people making six figures who live paycheck to paycheck. The issue isn't income, it's instruction. No one taught them that money is a resource to be directed, not a master to be obeyed. So they treat it emotionally, not strategically. And that's exactly what the system hopes for, because people who view money emotionally tend to spend recklessly, borrow needlessly, and save rarely. They become dependable consumers, trapped in cycles of accumulation and depletion. The economy thrives on that behavior. Your bank account, however, does not. To break this cycle, you must change the question from "how can I get more money?" to "what should this money do for me?" The first question chases. The second commands. It assumes control. It frames money as a servant, not a ruler. This shift doesn't require wealth. It requires wisdom. Even if you only have $100 to your name, you can begin directing it with purpose. That may mean paying off a bill, putting it toward an emergency fund, or investing a portion. What matters is that every dollar has an assignment. The problem with seeing money as a goal is that the finish line keeps moving. You hit $50,000, then want $75,000. You get $75,000, then want six figures. And still, happiness doesn't come, not because you're ungrateful, but because the goalpost was never fixed. You were chasing a symbol, not a strategy. Money can't provide purpose. But it can fund it. It can buy you time, give you space, and amplify the impact you want to make. When treated properly, it multiplies options. When misunderstood, it multiplies stress. Knowing the difference is everything. Your job now isn't to worship money. It's to wield it. Start by reviewing your last 30 days of spending. What did your choices say about your priorities? Were your dollars aligned with your values, or did they drift toward impulse, insecurity, or numbness? This isn't about shame, it's about clarity. Because once you see money as a tool, you stop fearing it, you stop chasing it, you start using it. And in that simple shift, you take your first real step toward wealth. Next, we'll dismantle one of the biggest illusions modern life sells: the lie that your possessions are signs of prosperity. In reality, many people are collecting liabilities, thinking they're acquiring wealth. It's time to flip that script. Chapter 3: The Asset Illusion. Jared bought his dream car the moment he got his promotion. It was sleek, fast, and came with monthly payments that stretched his budget thin. A few months later, the novelty wore off, but the bills didn't. He still thought he was doing well. After all, he owned a valuable car. But what he didn't realize was that what he called an asset was, in fact, draining his wealth every single month. Most people have been taught to measure wealth by what they own: cars, homes, gadgets, and even wardrobes. But financial education starts by challenging the definition of ownership itself. Just because you hold the title doesn't mean it holds value. The critical difference between an asset and a liability isn't what it is, it's what it does. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out. That's it. Simple but revolutionary. Your home, if it's not producing income, is likely a liability. Your car, even if fully paid off, costs insurance, maintenance, and depreciation. And your designer clothes? They lose value the moment you wear them. None of these things are bad, but they're not making you rich. The problem is, society markets liabilities as achievements. A bigger house is a sign you've made it. A luxury car means you're winning. But if those things come with heavy financial burdens, they're not signs of success, they're symbols of slavery. Financial slavery hides behind flashy purchases. True assets behave differently. They generate income, appreciate in value, or reduce expenses. Stocks that pay dividends. Real estate that produces rent. A business that runs without your daily input. Even a skill set that increases your earning power. Those are assets. They feed you instead of feeding off you. Think of assets and liabilities like seeds. Assets are the seeds that grow into trees bearing fruit. Liabilities are the weeds that choke your garden and demand constant upkeep. Most people spend years planting weeds and wondering why they're always hungry. The solution isn't to work harder. It's to plant better. Relearning what counts as an asset can feel uncomfortable, especially if your identity is tied to your possessions. But liberation begins with honesty. If your things aren't making you money or saving you money, they're not building your wealth. They're holding it hostage. Start by auditing your current financial environment. Make 2 lists. On one side, write down everything that produces income. On the other, list the things that cost you money each month. Don't just look at the purchase price, consider the long-term drain or gain. You'll quickly see where your financial energy is flowing. This isn't about guilt, it's about guidance. Once you identify your liabilities, you can start converting them. That doesn't always mean selling everything you own. Sometimes, it means rethinking future purchases. Other times, it means finding ways to turn a liability into an asset, for example, renting out a room in your house or using a car for rideshare income. The wealthy don't just make more money, they think differently about what money does. They understand that financial freedom isn't about having stuff, it's about having systems. Systems that generate cash flow. Systems that reduce dependence. Systems that grow, even when you sleep. You don't need a windfall to start acquiring assets. You need awareness. You need discipline, and you need a plan. Once you stop mistaking liabilities for assets, your financial clarity sharpens, and from clarity comes control. In the next chapter, we'll address a concept that scares many and empowers few: budgeting. Not as a form of restriction, but as a roadmap to freedom. Because when you tell your money where to go, it stops disappearing into places you never intended. Chapter 4: Budgeting isn't restriction, it's strategy. Carla earned more than she ever had. A recent promotion pushed her salary into 6 figures, but every month still ended in anxiety. Bills, random expenses, and impulse purchases left her scrambling. She was making more, but feeling less secure. Her problem wasn't income, it was intention. She had no plan for her money, only pressure. And like most people, she believed budgeting was a punishment, not a solution. Budgeting suffers from a branding problem. The word itself conjures images of spreadsheets, denial, and deprivation. But budgeting isn't about cutting joy. It's about cutting chaos. At its core, a budget is a blueprint. It tells your money where to go before it wanders off. Without one, even the highest income leaks through the cracks of daily life. Think of a budget like GPS for your finances. If you don't input a destination, your money just drives in circles. It follows urges, habits, and random opportunities. But with a clear map, every dollar moves with purpose. It knows its job. It's either working for you, or it's not in the plan. Many resist budgeting because it feels like a limitation, but in reality, it's a form of power. Knowing exactly where your money goes creates a sense of control that debt and confusion can never offer. It's not about how much you have, it's about what you do with it. And the people who seem the most free with money often got there by being intentional first. A good budget doesn't just track spending, it reflects your values. It should show what matters to you. If you say you value travel but spend nothing on it, your budget tells a different story. If you claim to care about health but allocate nothing for fitness or nutritious food, the numbers speak louder than your intentions. A budget is a mirror. It shows you, without emotion or excuse, who you really are financially. Start by listing your fixed expenses: housing, transportation, utilities. These are non-negotiables. Then move to your flexible expenses: food, entertainment, shopping. From there, define your savings goals, debt payments, and investment contributions. Every dollar should have a name before it's spent. This is called zero-based budgeting. Income minus expenses equals zero. Not because your bank account should be empty, but because every dollar has a job. It's also important to leave margin. A good budget isn't rigid, it breathes. Life throws curveballs, and your budget should be able to catch them. Build in a buffer for unexpected costs. That margin prevents emergencies from becoming disasters. Remember, you don't need a fancy app or perfect math skills to budget well. A notebook and consistency will do. What matters is that you engage with your money regularly. Weekly check-ins. Monthly reviews. Financial awareness is built through repetition, not resolution. If you failed at budgeting before, it's likely because the plan wasn't yours. You tried someone else's method or forced yourself into a financial box that didn't fit your life. This time, tailor it. Make it sustainable. Make it reflect who you are and where you want to go. The wealthy don't fear budgets, they embrace them, because they know control doesn't restrict freedom. It creates it. Budgeting doesn't shrink your options, it expands them. It stops your money from drifting into the hands of marketers and distractions. It keeps your focus on the future you're building. In the next chapter, we'll look at the currency more valuable than cash: time. Because while money can be lost and regained, time moves only in one direction. And if you understand its power, it can become your greatest financial ally. Chapter 5. Time is your richest currency. Two friends, Amanda and Kevin, both decided to invest. Amanda started at age 20, putting away just $100 a month. Kevin waited until he was 30 to begin, contributing $200 monthly, double the amount. By age 60, Amanda had more money despite investing less. Why? Because she gave time the chance to work its magic. Kevin had more cash, but Amanda had more compound interest, and compound interest always favors the early. Time is the one currency you can never earn back. Every second you delay making smart financial decisions, the opportunity cost grows. But this isn't about panic, it's about power. Because once you realize how time multiplies money, you can make decisions today that will carry you decades forward. Compound interest is often called the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. It's money earning money, then earning even more money on top of that. The earlier you start, the more time your dollars have to grow. Every year of delay trims the potential return. It's not just about how much you invest, it's about how long you let that investment mature. Imagine planting a tree. The sooner you get the seed into the ground, the more seasons it has to bear fruit. Wait too long, and the harvest never comes. Many people put off investing because they think small amounts don't matter, but time turns small amounts into large outcomes. The first step is not to wait for more money, it's to start with what you have now. Time also plays another role: habit formation. When you start young, you build financial muscles early. You normalize saving, investing, and budgeting. Those habits compound just like interest. Over time, they shape your financial reality, and the sooner you adopt them, the more ingrained they become. The system never taught you this because urgency serves industry. If you're always reacting, you're always spending. You chase upgrades, rush solutions, and make choices that favor the short term. But real wealth is patient. It's strategic. It leverages time as an asset, not a threat. This doesn't mean it's too late if you're starting later. It just means the urgency is now yours to own. Instead of mourning lost time, maximize what's left. Adjust your strategy. Increase contributions. Trim waste. Time may be finite, but its impact is still in your hands. Think about where your time currently goes. Are you trading hours for dollars endlessly? Do you spend years building someone else's dream, never stopping to invest in your own? Time is your most valuable resource, yet it's often spent the most carelessly. That stops now. Even 10 minutes a day can change your financial trajectory. 10 minutes learning about investments. 10 minutes reviewing your spending. 10 minutes calculating how your current actions affect your future self. The goal isn't perfection, it's direction. Time rewards consistency far more than intensity. Your future wealth is being decided in the quiet moments of today. Not in windfalls or lottery tickets, but in steady, small choices that add up over time. The earlier you begin, the greater the leverage, but no matter where you start, the principle remains: time amplifies every action. You can't borrow time, but you can redeem it. You can stop squandering it. You can start using it to serve your goals instead of letting it slip by unnoticed. The clock is always ticking. The question is whether it's working for you or against you. In the next chapter, we'll dive beneath the numbers and into the beliefs that drive them. Because the way you think about money shapes how you earn, spend, and save it. Mindset is the hidden lever behind financial behavior, and it's time to pull it. Chapter 6: Mindset over Money. Two people can make the same income, live in the same neighborhood, and have completely different financial outcomes. One builds savings, invests regularly, and plans for the future. The other stays in debt, spends impulsively, and feels stuck. The difference isn't intelligence. It's mindset, because money doesn't just follow math, it follows belief. And most financial problems start in the mind long before they show up in the account. Your mindset is the lens through which you see money. If that lens is clouded by fear, scarcity, or confusion, every decision gets distorted. You might hoard money out of anxiety or spend it recklessly to escape discomfort. Either way, the result is the same: disempowerment. And unless you change how you think, no amount of financial advice will stick. Many people grow up with unspoken money scripts. Maybe you heard money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that, even when it wasn't entirely true. These messages plant seeds. Money is scarce, money causes stress, money is hard to keep. Over time, those seeds grow into habits. You underinvest, overspend, or avoid financial conversations altogether. And yet you blame yourself, not the story you were told. Mindset is not just a soft skill, it's a steering wheel. It directs your behaviors, your goals, and your risk tolerance. If you see money as dangerous or shameful, you'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities to build it. If you see wealth as corrupt, you'll distance yourself from the practices that create it. But if you see money as a tool for freedom and impact, you'll pursue it wisely and use it well. Changing your mindset starts with awareness. What do you believe about money deep down? Do you think there's never enough? That rich people are selfish? That you're just bad with money? None of these are facts. They're inherited ideas, shaped by family, culture, and experience, and they can be unlearned. Rewriting your financial mindset doesn't require affirmations taped to your mirror. It requires truth. The truth is, there is enough. The truth is, wealth is neutral. It reflects the person who holds it. The truth is, you can learn the skills and strategies to become excellent with money, no matter where you started. A healthy money mindset is built on clarity and responsibility. Clarity means knowing your numbers, your goals, and your habits. Responsibility means owning your choices without blame or denial. Together, they create confidence, and confidence leads to action. It's not enough to think positive thoughts about money. You have to back those thoughts with intentional steps. Start small. Track your spending for a week. Read a book on investing. Have a financial conversation you've been avoiding. Each action reinforces a new belief that you are capable, competent, and in control. Mindset doesn't mean you never feel fear or doubt. It means you don't let those feelings drive your decisions. Fear says, "What if I fail?" Mindset says, "What if I learn?" Scarcity says, "I'll never have enough." Mindset says, "I have what I need to begin." The shift is subtle, but the results are profound. You don't need to become someone else to get rich. You need to become more honest with yourself, more disciplined, more curious. Financial transformation doesn't begin with numbers, it begins with narratives. Change the story, and the outcomes follow. In the next chapter, we'll explore one of the most misunderstood parts of that story: debt. You've been told it's either evil or unavoidable, but the truth is more nuanced. Not all debt is the same, and knowing the difference could save or make you thousands. Chapter 7: Good Debt versus Bad Debt. Tanya graduated college with $80,000 in student loans and $12,000 in credit card debt. She thought all debt was just part of adult life. Years later, she realized she had been playing a game she didn't understand. The rules were never explained, only expected to be followed. She wasn't reckless. She was uninformed. And like many, she confused all debt as either necessary or shameful, never realizing there was a difference between a burden and a tool. Debt is not inherently evil. It's a financial lever. Used correctly, it can accelerate growth. Used carelessly, it can bury you. The key is knowing which is which. Bad debt funds things that lose value and create no income: credit card splurges, car leases you can't afford, or furniture bought on installment. Good debt, on the other hand, is borrowed money that buys assets or increases your earning power. It's strategic, not impulsive. Think of bad debt like eating junk food on a credit card. It satisfies for a moment, then sits heavy for months. It charges you interest while offering no return. You pay more than you borrowed and end up with less than you started. This kind of debt is designed to benefit lenders, not borrowers, and it's wrapped in convenience to keep you hooked. Good debt, in contrast, is like borrowing seeds for a harvest. It may come with risk, but it also offers a return. A mortgage on a rental property that generates income. A business loan that funds a revenue-generating operation. Even a student loan, if it leads to a career with a positive return on investment, can qualify. The point isn't whether debt exists, it's what it produces. The problem is most people enter debt without a plan. They swipe cards, sign contracts, and defer payments without understanding terms, interest rates, or future implications. Debt becomes a lifestyle, not a tool. And over time, the weight of that lifestyle crushes freedom. Monthly payments stack up, stress increases, and opportunities shrink. That's not a financial strategy. That's a trap. To break free, start by facing your debt clearly. List every balance, interest rate, and minimum payment. Don't flinch, don't justify, just get honest. Then, categorize which debts are draining you without return, which have potential if managed wisely. This clarity alone can shift your mindset from victim to architect. Next, develop a strategy. For bad debt, prioritize repayment. Use methods like the avalanche highest interest first or snowball smallest balance first based on what motivates you. For good debt, monitor the return. Is the asset performing? Is the loan helping or hurting? If it's no longer serving your goals, pivot. And finally, resist the urge to normalize debt as a constant. The culture around you profits from your discomfort. It wants you to stay in cycles of minimum payments and financial anxiety. But you don't have to live like that. You can build a life where debt is rare, purposeful, and temporary, not default. The goal isn't to fear debt, it's to master it, to use it, when necessary, with clarity and confidence, to make it work for you, not the other way around. That requires vigilance, education, and a willingness to swim against the current of impulsive spending. In the next chapter, we'll confront one of the most subtle yet destructive forces in modern finance: lifestyle inflation. Because as your income grows, so do the temptations, and unless you anchor your values, you may find yourself earning more but keeping less. Wealth is not about what comes in, it's about what stays. Chapter 8: The Lifestyle Trap. Derek finally hit his dream salary, $100,000 a year. He upgraded his apartment, leased a luxury car, and started dining out more often. He felt like he had arrived. But within a year, his bank account still hovered near zero, and his credit card balance climbed. He was earning more than ever, but had nothing to show for it. Derek hadn't become wealthy. He had fallen into the lifestyle trap. Lifestyle inflation is the silent thief of financial progress. It sneaks in quietly, disguised as deserved rewards. A raise comes, and with it, new expenses. A better job leads to a bigger house, a newer car, more expensive clothes. The problem isn't the spending, it's the assumption behind it. More income doesn't automatically mean more freedom. It often means more obligations, more pressure, and more vulnerability. This trap is especially dangerous because it feels like success. The upgrades validate hard work. They signal progress. But if every increase in income is matched or exceeded by spending, wealth doesn't grow, it erodes. You end up running harder on the same financial treadmill, exhausted but no closer to freedom. True wealth comes not from how much you make, but from how much you keep and multiply. That means resisting the cultural script that says every financial win must be celebrated with consumption. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your money, but enjoyment should be intentional, not automatic. Lifestyle choices should align with long-term goals, not short-term validation. One way to protect against lifestyle inflation is to define your enough. Most people never do. They chase higher numbers without knowing what they're aiming for. Enough isn't a fixed figure, it's a reflection of your values. It's the point where your needs are met, your future is funded, and your joy isn't dependent on more stuff. Once you know you're enough, every raise becomes an opportunity, not an obligation to spend more. You can increase your savings rate, pay off debt faster, or invest in income-producing assets. You can design a life where each financial gain builds a foundation, not just a facade. It also helps to automate your wealth building. Set up systems where a portion of every paycheck goes directly into savings, investments, or debt repayment before it ever hits your spending account. That way, you protect your priorities from your impulses. Automation turns discipline into default. Another strategy is to regularly audit your lifestyle. Are there subscriptions you don't use? Meals you regret buying? Purchases made more out of boredom than benefit? None of these are crimes, but they can become patterns, and patterns shape your future more than isolated decisions ever will. Resisting lifestyle inflation doesn't mean living miserably. It means living mindfully. It means choosing what matters most instead of defaulting to what everyone else is doing. It means anchoring your identity in purpose, not purchases, because the freedom you're after isn't found in the next upgrade. It's found in alignment, when your money matches your mission. The system wants you to keep spending. Advertisers are relentless, trends are fleeting, and social pressure is loud. But real power comes from quiet choices, from living beneath your means, from building margin, from having the option to say no, not because you can't afford it, but because you don't need it. In the next chapter, we'll examine a critical component of financial credibility, your credit score. It's more than a number. It's a gatekeeper to opportunity, influence, and leverage. And if you don't understand how it works, it can quietly cost you thousands. Let's change that. Chapter 9. Credit, your silent financial scorecard. Julian made 6 figures, never missed a rent payment, and drove a paid-off car. But when he applied for a mortgage, he was denied. His credit score was too low. He hadn't defaulted on loans or declared bankruptcy. His problem? He had never built credit intentionally. To the lender, he wasn't a safe bet. He was invisible. In a system where trust is quantified, Julian had no score to prove he was worth the risk. Credit is one of the most misunderstood tools in personal finance. It's not just about borrowing, it's about signaling. A credit score tells lenders, landlords, and even employers how reliable you are with money. It reflects your financial behavior over time, how you handle debt, whether you pay on time, and how close you operate to your limits. It's not a measure of your worth, but it does affect your options. Your credit score is calculated using 5 key factors: payment history, credit utilization, length of credit history, types of credit, and recent inquiries. Payment history holds the most weight. Miss a payment, and your score takes a hit. Credit utilization follows. Using too much of your available credit, even if you pay on time, can signal risk. The longer your accounts have been open, the better. And having a mix of credit types, like a credit card, car loan, and student loan, can also help, assuming they're well managed. The system is complex by design. It's not built to educate you, it's built to score you. And if you don't understand how the game works, you end up playing defense. You pay higher interest rates, face loan rejections, or miss out on opportunities because your number doesn't meet an arbitrary threshold. But once you learn the rules, you can flip the game. Start by checking your credit reports from all three bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You're entitled to one free report from each every year. Look for errors, outdated accounts, or fraudulent activity. Dispute anything inaccurate. Then, review your credit utilization. Are you using more than 30% of your available credit? If so, aim to bring that down. Even paying down a few $100s can bump your score. If you're just starting out or recovering from past mistakes, consider a secured credit card or a credit builder loan. These tools require deposits but report to the credit bureaus, helping you establish a positive history. The key is to use them wisely, make small purchases, and pay them off in full every month. Credit isn't just about borrowing power. It's about financial flexibility. A strong score can get you better interest rates, lower insurance premiums, and faster approval for rentals or utilities. It can even determine whether you get hired for certain jobs. In a world that runs on data, your credit profile is part of your identity. Don't mistake silence for safety. Ignoring credit doesn't protect you, it isolates you. Avoiding debt entirely might seem wise, but without activity, your score won't grow, and without a score, you limit your leverage. The goal isn't to live in debt. It's to build a history that opens doors when you need them. Treat your credit like a reputation. Guard it, monitor it, strengthen it. Every payment, every statement, every balance tells a story. Make sure it's a story that leads to freedom, not frustration. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to break the cycle of trading time for money. While earning a paycheck is important, real wealth requires more than hard work. It demands that your money starts working for you. Passive income isn't a dream, it's a design. Chapter 10: Earn While You Sleep. Maya launched a simple online course based on a skill she had mastered in her spare time. At first, it brought in a few $100s a month. Over time, it grew. Eventually, it matched her salary, and then surpassed it. She wasn't working more hours, she was just working smarter. Her income was no longer tied to how many hours she could clock in. She had unlocked the secret most people never learn: money can keep working even when you don't. Passive income is one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal finance. It's not magic. It's not set it and forget it, and it's definitely not effortless. But it is powerful. It's the process of building income streams that don't require your constant labor. Once established, these streams continue to generate money with minimal ongoing effort. Think rental income, digital products, dividends, royalties, or automated online businesses. The traditional system trains you to believe that time equals money. The more hours you work, the more you earn. But there's a ceiling to that equation. You only have so many hours in a day. Passive income breaks that ceiling. It allows you to decouple time from earnings. And that shift is what creates wealth. The key isn't just finding any passive income stream, it's finding one that aligns with your skills, interests, and resources. Some options require capital upfront, like real estate investments. Others require creativity and consistency, like writing a book or building an online course. What they all have in common is front-loaded effort for back-end reward. Passive income also changes your relationship with risk. When you have multiple income streams, you're less dependent on any one job or source. You gain leverage, you gain security, and most importantly, you gain options. If your employer downsizes, your income doesn't collapse. If you want to pivot careers, you have breathing room to explore. It's not just about money, it's about margin. That margin becomes the foundation for freedom to rest, freedom to give, freedom to walk away from toxic environments because you're not financially trapped. And yet, most people never build it, not because they can't, but because they were never taught to. The system thrives on dependency. Passive income creates independence. Start by asking yourself one powerful question: what can I build once that pays me over and over? It could be a digital product, a course, an investment portfolio, or a rental property. It doesn't have to be massive. It just has to be repeatable. Then, commit to the long game. Passive income rarely produces overnight success, but with time and persistence, it compounds. Also, don't fall for the myth that passive means zero effort. Every stream requires some level of maintenance. Real estate needs property management. Online businesses need updates and customer support. Investments need periodic review. But the difference is that the effort is scalable. You're no longer trading hour for hour. You're building systems. Look at your current situation. Are you solely dependent on earned income? If so, what could change in the next year if you added just one stream that brought in a few $100s a month? What would that mean over 5 years? 10? The math isn't abstract, it's exponential. In the next chapter, we'll confront a lie that's been sold for generations, that a steady job equals safety. Because if the last few decades have shown anything, it's that job security is an illusion. Real security doesn't come from a paycheck. It comes from adaptability, resilience, and diversification. Let's dismantle the myth. Chapter 11. The Job Safety Myth. Angela had worked for the same company for over 20 years. She was loyal, hardworking, and respected. Then one Friday afternoon, she was called into a meeting and handed a severance package. Downsizing. Nothing personal. No warning. Her job, once considered secure, vanished in an instant. She had spent decades building someone else's dream, and now had to figure out how to rebuild her own. The belief that a job equals safety is deeply embedded in the modern mindset. From childhood, we're told to get good grades, go to college, and land a stable job with benefits. It sounds logical. But in today's economy, stability is not guaranteed. Companies pivot. Industries evolve, and positions disappear, often without notice. What was once a promise is now a gamble. Job security is an outdated concept. What people really want is income security, the confidence that they can continue to earn regardless of circumstances. And that kind of security doesn't come from a single employer. It comes from skills, assets, and adaptability. It comes from building multiple pillars of income, so that if one falls, the rest holds steady. The traditional career path, one job, one income, one retirement plan, works well until it doesn't. It leaves you vulnerable to external decisions. Your livelihood depends on people you may never meet making choices you can't control. That's not safety. That's dependency. Adaptability, on the other hand, is a modern survival skill. It means continuously learning, growing, and positioning yourself to solve problems in new ways. It means thinking like an entrepreneur, even if you're not one, because in a fast-changing world, those who create value will always be in demand, even if their job title disappears. Diversifying your income is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. That doesn't mean quitting your job tomorrow, it means planting other seeds now. Freelance work, a side business, investments, licensing your knowledge, teaching a skill, monetizing a hobby. These are not distractions from your career, they're insurance against disruption. Building your own brand is also part of this shift. Your reputation, your skills, your network, they travel with you, regardless of employer. In a job market that values agility, being known for what you do can open more doors than a polished resume. Influence is leverage, and in the digital age, everyone has access to a platform. Rethinking job security also changes how you manage money. It encourages larger emergency funds. It prioritizes savings and investments that can carry you through transitions. It pushes you to live on less than you earn, not out of fear, but out of foresight, because the goal isn't just to survive change, it's to thrive in it. If you're currently in a stable job, that's a blessing, but don't mistake comfort for immunity. Use this season to prepare. Learn new skills, expand your network. Explore additional income streams. You don't need to burn the ship. Just start building a lifeboat. Security isn't found in one job, one company, or one paycheck. It's found in the confidence that no matter what happens, you can respond, rebuild, and reinvent. That kind of confidence doesn't just protect your finances, it empowers your life. In the final chapter, we'll bring everything together. Because now that you've unlearned the myths and reclaimed the truths, It's time to take action. The wealth you missed isn't lost, it's waiting. What you do next can change everything. Let's finish strong. Chapter 12: Reclaiming the Wealth You Missed. Thomas was 54 when he finally took control of his finances. Decades of living paycheck to paycheck had left him drained, but not defeated. He started budgeting, paid down debt, and began investing consistently. Within 5 years, his net worth doubled. Not because he had won the lottery or stumbled on a secret formula, but because he decided to learn what no one had ever taught him. It wasn't too late, it was just time. The wealth you missed wasn't taken from you maliciously, it was withheld through omission. School didn't teach it, culture distorted it. And for years you may have blamed yourself for the confusion. But this book has shown you something different. You weren't behind, you were misinformed. You weren't incapable, you were unequipped. That ends now. Reclaiming your wealth doesn't begin with money, it begins with mindset. You now understand that money is a tool, not a goal. That assets build wealth and liabilities drain it. That budgeting is a strategy, not a sacrifice. That time is your most powerful multiplier. That mindset drives behavior. That debt must be intentional. That lifestyle inflation is a trap. That credit is a signal. That passive income is leverage. That job security is a myth. Each chapter gave you a missing piece. Now, it's time to use them. Start with clarity. Where are you right now, financially? Not just your income, but your habits, your systems, your beliefs. List your debts, your savings, your assets, and your liabilities. Know your credit score. Know your monthly spending. Know the difference between needs and wants. Because without clarity, there can be no strategy. Then choose simplicity. Don't try to do everything at once. Pick one change and make it stick. Set up automatic transfers to savings. Track your spending for 30 days. Open a brokerage account and invest your first $100. The goal isn't to become a financial genius overnight. It's to build momentum, small, steady, unstoppable momentum. Next, prioritize learning. You don't need a finance degree to master money. You just need consistent exposure. Read books. Listen to podcasts. Watch tutorials. Ask questions. The more you learn, the more confident you become, and confidence leads to better choices, which lead to better outcomes. Build systems that support your goals. Automate bill payments, savings, and investments. Use tools that simplify your money flow. Review your budget monthly. Reassess your goals quarterly. Financial success isn't a one-time event. It's a structure you live inside. Make that structure strong. And don't do it alone. Talk to your partner. Share with a friend. Join a community. Accountability accelerates growth. So does generosity. Teach others what you learn. Model the habits you're building. Become the voice you never had growing up. That ripple effect creates generational change. Finally, protect your progress. Expect setbacks. Life will test your discipline. Emergencies will arise. Temptation will knock. That's not failure. That's normal. What matters is your response. Stay anchored to your why. Keep your eyes on the long game. Adjust when needed, but never retreat. The classroom failed you. Life doesn't have to. Every lesson you missed is now within reach. Every opportunity you thought was gone can still be seized. Every financial mistake you've made can be repurposed into wisdom. Your story isn't over. It's just being rewritten with truth. The wealth you missed was never about income alone. It was about understanding. It was about habits. It was about decisions made in silence and systems built with intention. And now, you hold that power. Start today. Take one action, then another, and another. Because real education doesn't end at graduation. It begins the moment you choose to learn what matters most. The wealth you missed isn't missing anymore. It's yours to reclaim. Take care and be well.